I would recommend going with PVC Schedule 80 or Schedule 40 is plenty heavy enough for a service line. And it don't rust like galvanized. And like I said, you're not gonna get a leak. It don't rust. I mean, it's the ideal thing, very inexpensive also. So that would be my recommendation. If you've got leaks in it, how long's it been in?
That was developed in 2001,
2002.
yeah,
So it's only been in about 15, 20 years,
20 years, about 20 years.
and you're already getting leaks? I'd be changing it.
That's a different undertaking.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I said, I mean, if whoever's putting it in, you know, it's a service from our water line to houses, I'm assuming, or anything else, go with PVC. It lasts forever. And you ain't gonna have no leaks.
Noted, thank you. Fire chief report.
Just a couple interesting points. We've had 2 structure fires this last month. Winter's here are ending and people are starting to get out and about, weeds are starting to grow, so they just gotta be cautious of that. We had 24 calls, we're averaging 27 a month, we've had 54 total this year. Our call volume versus district and mutual aid, we're 3/4 are in the district, usually it's 1/3, or sorry, 2/3 is in the district, so our mutual aid responses are a little down. That's always the beginning of the year. When April, May roll around and fire season gets started, we'll see a big difference in that. We have several new members on the department, they're doing very well. And I know Scott's been working on a couple of really big projects. Scott, you want to talk about the grant and the projects that you've done since people have noticed what you've accomplished?
We have been working on a fuels mitigation project, so some people have noticed that we've cleaned up some trees over around the library, the old fire station, the Lions Club, and the old jail property. I had conversations with the Lions Club, and they were instructed by the county to remove those trees, so we were fortunate enough to have the ability to do that. We also have an encroachment permit via the road adoption for Mission Street through the association. So it was a pronged approach. We were able to do fuels management along Mission Street, clean up some of the trees that are hazard trees that were growing through the sidewalks, trip hazards, things of that nature. And it seemed like that kind of prompted others to do the same. It's just, I don't know if it was serendipitous in time, or maybe they saw something was going on and they wanted to jump on board. But Ray Barker went ahead and took care of the trees down here on the corner of 14th and Mission, and then simultaneously across the street, trees were removed on a private piece of property by the property owner in a couple locations. We were also able to do a little bit of work on River Road with the fuels management around the project that we plan on training on. That's been going well. Additionally, we're plugging away with the MDCs. The county kind of changed tact on us where we're hoping to walk in, arms out, and get drop boxes of stuff. In lieu of that, they gave us all their contacts to say, here, you order it, and we'll get back to you. So we're plugging along with that. And we added an extra training day, so in lieu of doing training on Tuesdays solely, we're doing training Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And additionally, having members active throughout the week doing these management projects, fuel management projects. We did some work down at the Adobe as well. The utility department has been helping us with the chipping portion of it. They're able to provide the chipper and provide staffing. Since it's the grant was written for that, I'm jumping around a little bit from different project to project, but as the grant was written, we have the ability to use district staff and fire department staff to do this management project. So I think it's been making a big difference throughout the town. Hopefully it looks better. I think Mission Street looks a lot better.
Much.
Other than that, I'm at a loss.
That's it, unless you have a question.
Thank you. And thank you for your efforts in that. This really does make a difference. Any public comment on the fire chief report? Yes.
Mission Street does look a whole lot better, having the trees knocked down, chopped away, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good job, Scott.
Any other board
And,
comment?
Good job.
Okay, we move on to the consent calendar. There are some corrections I have in item A.
Okay,
I do not have any in item B. Would you just like the corrections?
yeah, tell me page number.
Page number 27.
Okay, let me get there. 6 or 7, where are we at?
So there is a sentence that says, the one thing they did say though is that they're interested, it says it should be interested in helping with funding.
Okay, well, give me a portion.
So it's in the top third of the page.
Okay,
The sentence begins, the one thing. they did
interested
say-"
in okay, I
Yeah.
see. Get that one in here. Thank you. Okay,
Page 28,
okay,
at the bottom of the page, I
okay.
believe it is the last sentence. It states, instead there was a fairly unhealthy email sent.
Yes.
Did somebody state that they're unhealthy?
Huh. I'll look at it.
Okay.
I think so. Maybe, huh? I think it is. Okay. We'll look at it.
And
I think someone sick.
I think there was one other item. That was a long meeting.
Yeah.
Page 38.
I need it there. 33, I have a long one. 6, 7. Okay, 38.
Second, or yes, yeah, technically second full sentence. We're gonna have some soils from the 11th Street boring project. Potentially those could be spread from the low points to give it a better pouring under the temporary structure. Is that,
Better. Pouring. Pouring. That's what I heard.
Looks like they used it all up, Scott.
They did.
You can go over it.
They didn't share with us.
Maybe better shoring?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll look at it too.
Okay.
But I see what you're talking about, better pouring might be shoring. We gotta shore that. I know.
That's all I had.
Okay, let me save that. Okay. Any public?
Any public comment on the consent calendar items? No. Any board comment other than mine on the consent calendar items? Okay.
So item A will be with amended,
Okay,
and B, there was no changes.
correct. I have a motion to approve with item A amended and verified.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none.
I didn't hear Director Ronan say aye or not.
Oh. No, he hasn't muted.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to board action items. Number 1, review, discuss, receive, and file the enumeration of financial report for January 2021.
So these were
Oh, yeah.
from the last meeting that was basically canceled. They were added to this meeting. Roger Paul's not here to field those questions, we reviewed them, and also have done February's. So if you guys have any questions, hopefully we'll be able to answer.
Any board comments or questions?
Give me round one.
One that I have is container stock. We're paying for a container, storage container.
So upstairs, we have met the maximum on our CSD records retention. We have a server in that area as well. There's been records placed up there that are now pretty much like 14, 15, 16. They're fairly grouped and they're boxed up. And so in our records retention, which we have to bring back to the board just to review and refresh that policy, the Connex was purchased, put in place, and now records that need to be retained can be moved there and secured so that we can get rid of anything that's beyond 2 years upstairs. We want to keep things that we need to retrieve and go over, basically fairly handy, and then the retention policy will dictate how many years back we got to take and what we have to take to store in that container for now. We just don't have any other place to put the records, so that'll take care of the problem until we resolve our building storage issues.
So how many years is the retention?
Well, we'll bring it back to you, but generally 3, 5, 7, or 10, depending on what it is and how long it needs to be retained. Once that's determined, everything up there's been placed in boxes and separated. So the stuff that's already organized, we'll be able to move right away. But then there's a cache of records that'll have to be deciphered through, because some of it we want to e-file, and then that won't have hard copies that need to be stored.
So we're not mandated any?
Yeah, I'm working with Aaron with the state secretary. They have, but we need to bring it back to you because ours is so obsolete and old. But we don't have any room upstairs to even go through the stuff that we
Yes, I
need to
understand.
go through, so
Yes.
gotta get some out so we can spread out a little.
Right, yes.
Another one for me, it says South Coast Emergency Vehicle. It says a truck lack of power. That's not the new one, correct?
No.
That was my command vehicle, and then the Type 6 patrol. I have a constant light problem with the taillights on that vehicle, and 8651 needed a little bit of TLC on the pump.
I thought it was the new one. I'm like,
No.
it's already showing some problems.
Not at all.
No.
Any other board comment or questions? My only comment is also related to container stock. For things where you guys are purchasing in common, and I did iterate this to tomorrow. I'm actually a resource. Don't hesitate to call me and see if I have a source for things, because I buy containers in my day job as well. So certainly for things like this, I'd be happy to assist if I have a contact, or even give you the last purchase price for same, if it's identical. That is all. Any public comment on this item? No. I would motion that we receive and file the enumeration of financial report for January 2021.
Second.
Who got you? Who got me? Okay. Director Collins?
Yes.
Director Palafox?
Yes.
Director Gregory?
Yes.
President Sangster?
Yes.
And can Ward vote, or is he just for closed session?
No, you will.
Okay. Director Rooney?
He said yes.
Okay. Passes 5-0, no absence.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, where we review, discuss, receive, and file enumeration for financial report for February 2021.
We were able to complete this information again. I'll entertain any questions that you have. Hopefully we can answer them.
Any board comments or questions on this item? Okay. Any public comment on this item? No.
Motion to approve.
Director
Second.
Collins?
Second,
Director Gregory?
Yes.
Director Rooney?
yes,
Director Palafox?
Yes.
Director Calvins?
Yes.
President Sangster?
yes.
Passes 5-0 with no absence.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 3. Discuss and authorize the Director of Utilities to release an RFP for 4 generators to be purchased and installed under Cal OES PSPS grant, resolution 2021-06.
So we applied for a grant with Cal OES for, under the Community Power Resiliency Allocation to Special Districts. Doesn't get any more specific than that. For backup generators for our wells and the tank and repeater sites. We were awarded the $230,000 that we requested. So as a formality, we're asking to approve resolution 2021-06, allowing me to accept that and also to release a RFP for the backup generators for those sites. The generators would be brought back at the April meeting for approval. There is quite a lengthy lead time on generators lately, so I'm trying to get a little bit ahead. We only have until October 2021 to complete the grant. So we're under a little bit of a timeline, so long delays will cause a problem.
Are you going to be doing any sourcing for this RFP, meaning reaching out to specific sources you already know about?
I'm reaching out to the ones that are local. I was going to ask you if you have any. Otherwise, it'll be put out as a public notice in just forget what it's called.
Pastoral Express?
Not the plan rooms
Oh, primers too.
and on CSDA
Okay.
under their RFP.
Do they do any type of commodity codes where they have people registered to find public bids based on a particular commodity code? So in other words, it's for generators and generator companies are notified about that, or how does that?
I don't know that they have that through CSDA. If you have another,
Yeah, they don't.
if you have another site that you feel would be prudent, we can surely put it there.
I mean, the one that I use is public purchase for all goods and services. They do have entities registered all over the country, and it is based on the commodity code. And you can probably find more than just one for generators. So it essentially alerts any company that provides generators that you are looking for proposals on an RFP. The other, did we ever get signed up for GovSpend here?
Way too much money. Yeah. I do stuff for them though.
Yeah, I may be able to look on GovSpend based on your specs and see if I can determine any companies that have provided similar units over the past 12 to 18 months. Might give us at least something anyway. But I'll also check my facilities group and see if they have somebody that provides generators. In our facility, the generators are probably bigger because they're running entire buildings.
Right.
But I'll do some legwork on that. I'll send you an email.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Any other board comment? Any public comment?
I think that's a good idea, actually. We need to do a lot of research. Do you have any idea, Kelly, what these 4 generators are gonna cost?
Based on my initial research for the grant, the generators themselves are, depending on what you're looking at, for a 150 kilowatt generator, it's between $35,000 and $40,000 delivered.
Yeah, 250,000 grant though.
So there's a large portion of that grant is to connect the natural gas. And the price for that is all over the place because each site is different.
Right. Okay.
Do you have, do we have natural gas close to our wells already?
All of them, or the 2 of them do, one of them is reasonably close, however, it might be cost prohibitive, in which case we'll install a propane.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, Director Palafox,
Yes.
Director Rooney,
yes,
thank you. Director Gregory,
Yes.
Director Calvins,
Yes.
President Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 5-0 with no absence.
Okay, number 4, review and provide direction regarding sending a response letter to SLO County Integrated Waste Management Authority.
This is an item that Director Calvins has expressed some concern and interest in, and he had come up with a few thoughts on the process about communicating with IWMA, and we also have Aaron Kadashian from our waste management here as well to make comment. Do you want to discuss first, or?
Or if Mr. Kardashian wants to discuss first, I'm really excited that he's actually here in the audience. I guess I'll just give the quick backstory on how we ended up at this point. It's just that we, as board members, have received email from another CSD member regarding the repeal of a polystyrene ordinance. The vote passed on a 1-vote margin. We received multiple emails. Those emails are attached to this report for public record. And then a subsequent email came forward from that individual stating that they were wanting the special district representative to be removed from the IWMA. From my own background research, it appears that our representative, who they represent 11 different CSDs across the county, has a different philosophical view than the person that was sending the emails. And it had been mentioned in the past, not related to this, but why do we have 11 CSDs sharing one voting representative when we have some city or agencies like Napomo CSD, which has solid waste? They're bigger than Pismo Beach by almost twice as many people, and Pismo gets their own voting representative on the IWMA. So this was just brought as an informational item in case the board wanted to make a comment. I didn't want to recommend making a comment regarding the polystyrene ordinance because of how politically divisive that issue seems to be right now. Mr. Kardashian may be able to explain the situation a lot better than I can as an applicant, because you're more tied to the IWMA than I am. I can only see what comes through my email.
Aaron Kardashian, Samuel Garbage. So there's a lot of things happening in the IWMA right now, and a lot of voting that's been going on, more so than ever in the past years. There was a previous vote to move forward with the styrene ban, and after that vote, they also voted to not pass any regulations that superseded the state regulations. So they didn't want to add any new regulations to the county that weren't state mandated. That being said, a few of the members on that board made that very clear during the styrene ban discussion and said, we don't want to, basically 2 months ago, we just said we weren't going to do any more regulations over and above, and I think that might be what stemmed them banning or stopping the ban of styrene. So it is a very touchy subject. Some people are very passionate about it, and some people honestly aren't. And regardless of what side of the fence you fall on, I think that Director Calvins makes a wonderful point that the CSDs have not in the past been represented well at the IWMA board, which is the Integrated Waste Management Authority. So they're the ones that are trying to place the onus on recycling, organics, And we're gonna see a lot of that coming up with this new regulation, SB 1383. And my hope is that each district or jurisdiction, each one in the IDMA, if you control your own solid waste, you are considered a jurisdiction. I hope that you can keep the onus local and not let it be voted on by a large group that maybe doesn't have the best interest of San Miguel.
And, anything else, Mr. Kardashian?
And unless there's questions.
And yes, the combined, the 11 CSDs, our population is over 50,000 people sharing this one vote. And every city gets their own vote. This has not been the first divisive issue that's come before the IWMA, where it came down to, I think, a single vote. I think the plastic bag ban was also a single vote, and it hinged on that lone CSD representative at the time. Greg.
Was it the same one though?
No, it was not,
Right.
and that was also something I wanted to clarify in the
Right.
report, the emails. Previously, it was Greg O'Sullivan of Templeton who was representative up until 2013. So, but it's up to the board what the board feels like, you know, if we should send it, a response to IWMA, send it to also the other solid waste CSDs, or what direction we want to go if we think, you know.
Well, I guess for me, the question is, how do we precipitate change? As Kardashian pointed out, we don't really have any local control or voice in how things are handled. So,
Well, you do with us,
yes,
right? As the solid waste company, you do. And
yes,
so I don't want to see that go away either.
right.
I don't want to see somebody sitting at a desk in San Luis telling San Miguel CSD how to operate in their town when it comes to solid waste, when I think that our current situation is very good. Very good.
Agreed. So would that mean that representation from North County or from each individual CSD might be warranted or better?
The IDMA board is already made up of 13 members, and there's talk of reducing that, not making it larger. So I'm just telling you there's talk. I'm not saying they're going to reduce anything, but they're not talking to make it larger.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how the CSDs could be represented better. I don't have an answer for you there, other than possibly reaching out. You know, making yourself represented. But that doesn't mean you get a vote, right? It doesn't mean you get a vote. There is a new tag force there, and in that, Scott Duffield from Heritage Ranch is a representative for the CSD on that force. So he might be somebody to reach out to just as a point of contact, maybe not on the styrene ban. I don't know that he has anything to do there, but there is a lot of regulations coming up. He would be a great contact person just to reach out to and say, hey, these are our concerns. Can you at least bring these to the board's attention in this, you know, you're not the only CSD that feels this way. You know, or the letters and emails wouldn't be coming in.
Understand. Yes, and they're going to be flooding it.
Yes, and that's why the response letter that I drafted as an idea is not to say one way or the other, just say to, you know, we humbly request that you know, well, work with us, figure out something that could be done. I mean, it could be based off of region, North County, South County Coast, or whatever combination that would maybe make sure that the 11 is a little bit better geographic.
Yeah.
There's different combinations, or based on a population. I mean, you know, if you have CSDs that are way bigger than incorporated cities, I mean, maybe they should even be the ones that have their own say. You know, if we're going, I mean.
Yeah, if you're going by population, you're completely right. But there is a point to make, though, that the CSD representative on the IDMA board just got appointed president this year.
Yes, he did.
So removing him might not be the plan, but, you know, like this other director is mentioning, and we're talking about one director who may have a difference of opinion. So
Sure.
I think, bringing it into a harmony and working together, and the president of the IMA is a very responsive. You can talk to him, you can call him, he will, he is one of the first guys that we have seen actually be responsive, so, in there for the North County.
This is a voluntary position? Or is it a paid position?
No, I think,
They get a stipend.
maybe a stipend.
$100 a meeting
Yeah.
on the state.
Basically voluntary.
Yeah, basically, but,
Okay.
I mean, he's also been on the, a board in the South Coast at a CSD for, I think, over 20-some years.
Yes, Cayuga CSD, he was
Yeah.
elected in the 90s, put in as board president, and they kept putting him in.
Yeah,
So, they like him over
you know,
there.
whether he liked it or not, I think.
I agree completely with
Yeah.
Mr. Kardashian. I think that there's a philosophical difference between the person that's sending the emails
Mhm.
and obviously the representative. And for me personally, it's not for me to say whether somebody should be removed or not.
Right.
If they've been in place and they're fair and equitable on the
Right.
whole, then it's not for me to say. In this case, would it be beneficial to have their representation? I think so. I agree with Director Callens that it would be beneficial to have perhaps a voice or some skin in the game. But as to responding with regards to the styrene ban, I would say I have no opinion. Again, it's not for me to say.
Right, and that's also in the letter, the two things was that there's no opinion on the styrene ban, and also that, we don't feel comfortable removing the specialist representative, especially not without, some formal mechanism. Just to randomly say, all right, let's get this guy out of here without bringing all this, that's Wild West stuff, right? Not us trying to take care of meet state mandates.
I think to expand on your thought of not removing somebody without a formal process, I would also state that we don't have any, what would you say, we don't have any,
And by the way, I know the guy, and I'm not advocating to remove him.
no, that's what I'm saying, not only do we not feel it's appropriate
Mhm.
to remove somebody without a formal process, but from our perspective, we don't see that there's a need to begin any process.
Right.
There's been no sign of justification to remove somebody, simply because they share a difference of opinion.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you want to, how you want to word that, but I would expand on the fact that we do not support the position of the attempting removal of a person who's shown to be doing
Mhm.
a normal job, standard job.
And I think because he knows the struggles of being a CSD, he would, his heart would go out probably to small CSDs that have the same, issues and concerns and not being heard maybe in the bigger picture. And I think that he would be probably welcome, phone calls and emails in ways of, hey, this is how we're feeling over here, please take this to the board.
I think that might be a point of consideration.